Hey everyone, we're on chapter 6. Um, let's see. They're in Florida. They went to a party, realized they couldn't kidnap the dude they needed to kidnap because there's three vampires with them in a plague, and they beat up some guys. They got back to the hotel, fell asleep, and here we are. And we're on page 66. I'm very sad that I was able to recap that in the amount of time that I just recapped it in. Here we go. You know how sometimes real sounds can invade your dreams? Like, one time, I was napping on the couch and I dreamed I was interviewing Steven Tyler. Then I woke up and there he was on MTV talking to some bimbo who asked such stupid questions I was glad to wake up and find it wasn't me. She has a thing against women, doesn't she? Like, bimbo, bimbette. Like, pretty soon are we gonna start referring to everyone as whores and sluts? Now I dreamed Vale and I were discussing the mission. I said, "So what do you think this virus does?" And Vale answered by making a strange trilling noise like he had a cricket stuck in his throat. I'm not going to make that noise. "How do you think it gets transferred?" I said. "Trill." "And what's the deal with the raptor? I mean, doesn't anybody ever say, 'No, we would prefer not to play with you because you're a big fat creep'?" "Trill." "Vale, it's so weird you sound just like my cell phone," I mumbled. I opened my eyes, stared at the glittering handbag on the bedside table, a little worse for wear as a result of its trip to the floorboards during last night's wreck. By the way, that dream sequence blew ass. Beneath the bag, where I'd laid it before we left, sat my personal phone, ringing, which meant it was either Evie or Albert, neither of whom did I feel like talking to at a glance at the clock, too damn early in the morning. I said a very unladylike work as I reached over to pick up the phone, and my ribs reminded me to fight dirtier next time some hulking bruiser wants to trade blows. "Do you have any idea what time I went to sleep last night? I mean this morning?" I waited. Nothing. Oops, forgot to press the button. I might actually be glad about that later. Beep. Hello? Jazz, I'm so glad you answered. Evie? Ellipses. Have you been crying? It's either that or pound Dad over the head with a mallet. Crap, I'm so not up to this. What's he done now? More like what he hasn't done. Evie really didn't belong in our family. Too sweet, too anxious to please. It tended to bring out the worst in the rest of us, including Albert. Okay, what hasn't he done? He hasn't taken his insulin every day, or followed his diet, or minded the infection in his foot. I thought we'd hired a nurse to do that for him. Evie took a deep, trembling breath, but she still started crying again, hard enough that I didn't understand what she said next. "Evie, all that bawling can't be good for the baby, so cut it out." I knew I sounded stern, but bossiness is the main perk of big sisterhood, and she did calm way down, way quick. "Now, first of all, where's your husband? He'd be having a cow if he knew you were this agitated over Albert. Tim's in Philadelphia on business. Okay, after you get off the phone with me, call him. It'll make you feel better. Now, what about the nurse?" Dad fired her. "What?" I felt the prickling along my scalp that signaled big anger. I wish I was the Queen of Hearts so I could just order my little car soldiers to cut off Albert's head. When? This is such inane chatter. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. About a month ago. A month? But I've sent him 2 checks to cover her salary since then. Me too. Tears had crept back into Evie's voice. I could just imagine her sitting with her elbows on her little breakfast table, her straight honey brown hair sweeping forward to cover her face as she dropped her forehead into her hand. Apparently Dad's been using the money to buy donuts, beer, and cigarettes. Now he's sick, the infection spread to his heel and up to his ankle. The doctor at the veteran hospital says he must have to amputate, but he won't know for sure until he examines Dad, and Dad won't go. What a dumbass. Jasmine! Well, he is. No, I am, for not keeping better track of him. But we've just been snowed under at work with all this turnaround. She was an engineer for Trifecta Petroleum in Indianapolis. Can anybody say free Indy 500 tickets? Yeah, baby. I don't even have comments because this is so shitty. And by the time I get home, I'm so tired I can barely move, but that's no excuse. Yes, it is. The last thing you should be doing is driving to Chicago to look after the original grumpy man. He's the one who's abusing himself, not you, so quit feeling guilty. Does that mean you call him? Yeah, right after I hang up with you. I'm getting ready to go to work, but you can call me back later tonight to let me know how it goes if you want. I'll try, but no promises. I'm in the middle of something big right now. Me too. Unfortunately, I'm it. She laughed a little, a music to my ears. You're so full of it, I said. I saw the last picture you emailed me. You're gorgeous. I meant it. Thank you. Are you crying again? Only a little, and in a good way this time. Well, I guess that's okay. Take care of yourself and Evie Jr., okay? You two are the only girlfriends I've got. Okay, love you. Bye. Love you too. Beep. She was gone, back to the normal everyday life that I'd give my life to preserve. I dialed Albert's number, but before I hit the last digit, I turned the phone off. He was an hour behind me, so he wouldn't be awake until at least 10 my time. I set the alarm for 9:30 and went back to sleep. Wow, we learned so much. So much. Psyching yourself up to talk to Albert Parks is like preparing for battle, a metaphor he'd probably appreciate since he'd done that a few times himself during his 30-year stint with the Marines. You need to have all your resources in place before you can make your big move. That's why, before I called him, I showered, dressed in my comfy clothes, maroon sweats, and extra large black t-shirt, and drank about half a gallon of coffee. Then I gave myself a pep talk. Okay, Jazz, I said as I shuffled my cards for the 100th time, trying to relax to the wish of a perfect bridge. Here's the deal. You will not yell at Albert for at least 5 minutes. I figured the call would be over in two, but I'm one to hedge my bets when it comes to losing my temper. You will keep your opinion of him to yourself this time, and you won't mention Mom at all. Okay, I'll try, I told my closet door reflection. Her door's reflective? Her closet door's reflective? Is it a mirror? But I'm not making any promises. I nodded to myself, then I called Albert. He answered on the fifth ring. Not a good sign. His voice, when he said hello, sounded faint and weak. Though he'd gotten himself into the predicament, he now expects he would now expect pity. Ugh. I grabbed a pillow and threw it across the room. Hey, Albert, I said, trying to sound pleasant and not overly concerned. Evie tells me you're not feeling well. She's a meddler, that one, just like your mother. I gritted my teeth. I would not argue with him over the fact that what he saw as meddling, we saw as Mom coming home early from work to find him in the sack with her best friend. I can't. Goddamn, I heard you fired your nurse. Goddamn busybody. Always wanting to know what I was eating. Always poking me with those damn needles. My rageometer spiked. I could feel the veins on my forehead throb like war drums as my temper began to shred. It's a fragile thing, my temper. Sort of like the pretty colored tissue paper you find lining gift bags. My inner eye watched it disintegrate into little raggedy-edged pieces that floated away to perhaps reassemble themselves in another place and time as my father whined, "She treated me terrible, Jazzy, and now I feel terrible." "Oh, for Christ's sake, Dad, you feel terrible because you're not following your doctor's orders. Evie's going nuts worrying about you, and Dave and I don't have the time to come coddle you, so you'll try—" What? Let me try this again, sorry. "Oh, for Christ's sake, Dad, you feel terrible because you're not following your doctor's orders. Evie's going nuts worrying about you, and Dave and I don't have time to come coddle you, so you'll quit trying to fucking kill yourself. So here's the deal. We're hiring you another nurse. You will eat what she says, you will take the insulin shots without complaining, and if you fire her, I will personally haul your sorry ass to the veterans home and dump you on their doorstep. But, furthermore, you will make an appointment with your doctor today, and if he has to cut off your goddamn foot, none of us is going to pity you because you brought it on yourself. Jasmine Elaine Parks, don't you dare pull your dad voice on me, old man. I know exactly what kind of game you're playing, and it doesn't wash. You weren't there when we were growing up. What makes you think your pitiful health is going to make us come to you now?" Wow, shit just got serious. There was a long silence, during which I'm sure Albert was looking longingly at his beer can while I was kicking myself for yelling at a decrepit old war hero. I knew he'd been an awesome Marine. He had a drawer packed with medals and an address book full of phone numbers of men who would still willingly die for him. He just never should have had children. "I'm tired," I said, suddenly feeling even older than his 61 years. "I'm working on a big account and this has got me on edge. Evie's call knocked me over the edge, and now you're catching the fallout." It wasn't an apology. He didn't deserve one, and he knew it. I'll call the doctor this morning," he said. I guess if I could make concessions, so could he. "Good. I'll call you when I find a new nurse." "Okay." Another awkward silence. This was the point at which many fathers and daughters would exchange little affectionate phrases like "I love you" and "I miss you." We knew that. We just had no way to get there from here. So, ellipses. "I'll talk to you later," I said. "Okay, bye." "Bye." I'm sure there's easier ways to show that she's a shitty relationship with her father. There are much easier ways than having to deal with this kind of bullshit that we're dealing with right now. Beep. I found it terribly ironic that lately all my conversations with family members ended in a high, annoying sound. There was just two phone conversations with her family members, just two. I threw the phone on my bed, dropped it down beside it. Before other things demanded my attention, I picked up the phone, dialed Evie's number, and left a message for her to get me the number of the nursing pool we'd drawn the last one from. Hopefully I could hire one who hadn't yet talked to his old nurse and learn what an ass Albert could be. Oh, that was it. That was chapter 6. Um, I guess I will read you chapter 7. Alright, here we go. I woke to the sound of a doorbell. Hey, I told the clock. I went back to sleep. How cool is that? Oh my god, she's talking to the clock. Even better was the total lack of nightmares. I started to bounce out of bed, but my ribs turned it into more of a slow roll. Grief accompanied me to the door. Bill had taped a note there. Yasmina. Before I went to my rest, I ordered you something special, since I know how much you hate to eat out. See you at dusk, B. Oh, that's nice. That's thoughtful. I looked at the people. Nobody. And the only inhabitant of the hall, when I opened the door, was a serving cart full of covered dishes. I imagined the waiter dashing back to the elevator after he'd rung so I wouldn't catch a glimpse of him, and think, gasp, that real people actually ran this hotel. I suppose the employees did a lot of darting into stairwells and linen closets. Were they required to run sprints every morning before work to keep themselves in shape? A definite thought. By the time I had the cart inside, the door locked, and the table set for my meal, I decided the entire staff met in the attic every morning for calisthenics, and every one of them, maid, cook, and maintenance worker alike, wore matching pink leotards. She's so weird. So weird, guys. I uncovered the lid to each dish one by one, offering each plate a round of applause as it appeared. Number one plate held 3 small pancakes, a slab of butter, and a mini pitcher of syrup. A mushroom omelet spread itself across plate number 2, and plate number 3 held 4 slices of extra crispy bacon. Bill had also ordered coffee and a big glass of orange juice. I saluted his closed door with my mug and said, "To you, boss, may you never realize how much I truly like you." As I ate the most delicious breakfast I've consumed in months, I planned my afternoon. Since anything to do with Asan fell under Vale's domain, I tabled the whole issue and moved on to our more immediate problem. 4 fairly well-informed killers disguised as religious fanatics did not just materialize and try to eliminate 2 Central Intelligence Agency employees. I wasn't sure how they'd even found us on the highway, but I did have a theory. Someone must have told them that we were after Hassan, so they had probably watched his house until we showed up. That someone had taken a big risk, too, because only a handful of people even knew we existed. That included Pete, the 3 senators on our department's oversight committee, Bergman, and the woman I was about to call. Our secure phone sat where we'd left it last night, beside the laptop in front of the unaccompanied chair at my breakfast table. I saw my last bite and used the phone to call Martha. She answered on the first ring. "Demlock Pharmaceuticals," she said in her gravelly alto. I don't know what that sounds like. She hadn't smoked a day in her life, but you'd never know it by her voice. Oh, so slow? I don't think I can pull off a gravelly alto. "I need to establish an order. Hold, please." Moments later, Martha was back on the line that was now secure from her end as well as mine. "What do you need, hun?" "Pete's secretary called me hun." "How cool was that?" "I call people hun. I don't think anybody thinks that's cool." Of course, she could pretty much do as she liked. She might be 4'8" granny with mocha skin and whipped cream hair, but she could nail your ass to the floor with a single look. I asked her about it one time. She said it was a result of raising 7 children, every one of whom still wilted beneath the look, like old lettuce. Never mind, the only one of her kids without a PhD was an MD. All of them acknowledged her as the supreme leader of the Evans clan. Luckily, she had her soft-spoken hubby Lawrence around to make sure her rule didn't turn. What? Lawrence. Luckily, she had her soft-spoken hubby Lawrence around to make sure her rule didn't run to fascism. Didn't turn into fascism? Lawrence spent his weekdays teaching at the Southern Baptist Seminary and his weekends saving souls at Hope Baptist just down the street from my apartment. What a sweet man. And generous, too, unlike some guys I was about to name. "Hey, Martha. I need to talk to Pete. How is he feeling today?" "Annoyed, but that's typical," she sighed. "This morning I told him the other department heads had started a pool based on the timing of his demise. They're giving 2-to-1 odds on a heart attack at the office. The man has no idea how to relax." Ouch. If he died, I have even more guilt to add to the trailer I was already towing. Not a pretty thought. You should talk him into going on a fishing trip or something. I could, but he'd just end up snagging his line on a body or catching sight of some high-level vacationing drug lord, and that would be the end of that. Well, we'll just think of something. So, ellipses. Did he tell you about last night? I heard your car got a little bent out of shape. Yeah, but it wasn't my fault. It never is, hon. Are you and Bill okay? Yeah, we're fine. Well, that's what really matters, she sighed, disappointed we survived or just dreading the task ahead. I'm starting the paperwork this morning, so it should be ready for you to sign when you come back. Do you need a new vehicle? I might be able to get you one from the same company. The same company? Holy crap, Martha knew exactly what kind of car we've been driving because she'd made the rental arrangements to start with. She could easily have given Graybeard the details. Of course, Pete would have had access to that information too. The senators? Yeah, they could have found out as well. So much for narrowing down my field of suspects. Only Bergman had an airtight alibi, that being his paranoia. He'd never hire someone else to do his dirty work because he'd be too sure that they would betray him. Bergman's bow out of the race gave me no consolation. That still left 5 other people I liked and or worked for. No way about finding the answer to this particular riddle made me a happy camper. My stomach churned, spitting acid all over my delectable breakfast, making it want to part company with my digestive system. Jasmine? Sorry, I was spacing out. Out, out, out. Ellipses. I dug my fingernails into my thigh. Nah, don't worry about the ride. It's taken care of. Pete, however, is another story. Is he busy? Never too busy for you. Hang on. I didn't have to wait long. Pete's got a thing about telephone charges. He doesn't like paying them. What's up, Parks? Last night's fiasco. We seem to have an information leak in our department. There's no other way these jokers could have found us. I agree. I'm also concerned about the Assange side of things. If we don't handle this right, he stopped, because what could he say that didn't reek of drama? We sat in frozen silence, fully understanding the ramifications of a plan that included the words raptor, terrorist allies, and virus. Then I guess our dwindling phone minutes snapped him back to reality, because Pete trucked right on, saying, "Last night I suggested to Bill that you might want backup. He said he will let you make that call." Do people still worry about minutes, like on landline? Even cell phones, don't they have unlimited minutes? Hell yeah, I wanted to say. How about the Florida National Guard for start? But in our business, if you pressed the panic button every time you thought the world might be ending, you'd be out of work before you could say, "But we thought." However, it would be nice to have someone outside the agency we knew we could trust, because you never knew what these loons were going to throw at you. And an ideal candidate in mind. I want to bring in Bergman. Thoughtful pause while Pete tallied up the potential expense of the request. You sure you need a tech head? We've already got plenty of muscle. I know it's going to cost you, but I shouldn't have to remind you the guy's a genius. Plus, he's an outsider. Way out, actually, but I knew how to deal with that. He made a big difference in the result of our last mission. You said that yourself. Okay, give him a call. Thanks. And Pete, I really think we got to go silent until this is over. I waited for him to protest. If he'd entered in the last night's attacks, he'd want to keep track of us so he'd know where to send the next wave. His reply, immediate and definite, left no doubt in my mind where he stood. I think that's for the best. Yes! They left one last heartbreak on my horizon. Okay, talk to you on the side. Parks? Yeah? Take care of yourself. That's an order. Yes, sir. After we hung up I did a little happy dance around the rim of the pit, managing not to fall in despite some spectacular high kicks. Gosh, if I hadn't minded the whole world ogling my butt I could have been a showgirl. I took one more victory lap, settled back down at the table, and called Bergman. After drumming my fingers through 5 different sets of pre-recorded options and punching a combination of buttons that practically committed me to sacrificing my firstborn if I revealed any detail of our pending conversation to anyone, I had to leave a voicemail. Wow. That was one sentence. No punctuation. Nothing. While I waited for his return call, I keyed the name of Senator Suspect Number 1 into our database and started reading. 2 hours later, I'd read all the information I could gather on Senators Fallon, Trent, and Bzowski. I'd also done a short background check on Colby Mott out of sheer nosiness. I felt much better about our spontaneous exchange of affection now that I knew he was definitely one of the good guys. Wondering when Bergman would decide to crawl out of his cave and re-enter the real world, I decided I'd wait more patiently if I could do it standing up. So I moved all the furniture out of the pit and lined it against the walls like freaked out preteens at Christmas dance. Taekwondo was the first martial art I ever learned. Mom started sending me to class when I was 8, somehow managing to find me a new instructor every time we moved, so that by the time I hit 11, I'd earned a first-degree black belt. I've trained in plenty of other disciplines ever since, but Taekwondo is still my favorite. I started with white belt, worked my way through each form until I reached my present rank, 5th degree black belt. By the time I'd finished, my ribs were pounding out, an SOS on my lungs, and my sweats were soaked, so I headed to the shower. I peeked out of the curtain on the way. I peeked out the curtain on the way. Wait, what? Oh, she peeked out through the window on her way. Okay. Nothing moving out there. The whole damn state must be hung over. Which is when I realized the new year had crashed on me. Should I make a resolution? Be nicer to old women and cats? Swear less? Learn a new language? Got it, I told my reflection as I went into the bathroom to undress. My resolution is to learn how to swear in every new language. I'm sorry, swear in a new language. If Evie were here, she'd be rolling her eyes. That's not swearing less, Jas, she'd say. Ah, but that's where you're wrong, little round grasshopper, I told her in my Chinese grocer accent. She loves that one, because of course I do it terribly. I will be swearing less in English, and I will be learning a new language. I'm not going to do that shitty accent, guys. That's really racist. She has a thing for Asian people, too. I lingered over my second shower, and afterward took the time to shave and pluck and cosmetize myself into some semblance of order. Now wearing black jeans and a long-sleeved purple shirt with prehistoric cave paintings printed all over it, I was ready to wait some more. These were the times I missed Evie the most. She was one of those people who's easy to be with, laid back, undemanding, never in your face, like me. I do sometimes think it's good we were military brats. All those moves forced us to become friends with each other because we knew other friendships wouldn't last. Okay, so much of this mushy crap, and I'll have to trade my PPK for a parasol. Sorry, let me reread that. Okay, much more of this mushy crap, and I'll have to trade my PPK for a parasol. You know, you could be mushy and badass. Like, I dropped to the bed, turned on the TV, and picked up my cards. While Oprah helped some poor schmuck finally let go of her dead parrot, I shuffled. It sounds lame, I know, but I like the sound the cards make slapping against each other. It's much sweeter than the clatter of my thoughts, looping around my brain like the cars on the kids' racetrack, never waning, never ending, just rushing in circles until I want to lay down on a busy stretch of railroad and hope Dudley Do-Right is busy elsewhere. Bergen called just as I turned the channel, and, what do you know, Dudley Do-Right galloped across the screen, riding horse backwards because that's how all courageous Mounties ride their steeds in the backwoods of Canada. Jasmine, are you secure? Really too many ways to answer that question and not all of them comforting. It's safe to talk, I said. What are you up to? Nothing. Which meant he had several high-level, top-secret projects on the burner, none of which he wanted to discuss. Cool. That means you've got some free time, right? Could have. What do you need? Backup. Big time backup with all the hell bells and whistles. How soon can you be in Miami with the vehicle? Long silence as Bergman did some mental calculating. How soon do you need me? Dusk would be good, I chuckled, but he got the message. I'll leave tonight and call you when I hit town. Excellent, I said, and we hung up. Nice thing about Bergman, he likes to leave the details for face-to-face conversations. Don't worry, Bill, I said, looking at my wall as if I could see through it, straight into his room. Help is on its way. Well, that was fun. 2 chapters. Nothing happened. Lots of background data, I guess. Anyway, I will see you back here tomorrow for chapter 8. Have fun.